So I've got a book here by one of my favorite authors that I found at the Walmart about a month ago. It's a Walmart exclusive. It's a Harlequin Western. It's by New York Times best-selling author Cathy McDavid. How to Marry a Cowboy. Okay, now I'm going to read you the inside flap and then a few pages that I have marked. I'm trying to get myself together and compose myself better, so bear with me, y'all. Seeing you today, I'd say trick riding is every bit as dangerous as bull riding. It's not. I'm in constant control of a well-trained horse, Kenna told him. How about when you're hanging upside down off a horse? Where's the control then? I'm not being tossed around like a sneaker in a dryer, a sneaker that could land beneath an angry bull's sharp hooves, and besides standing up in the saddle is a relatively easy trick. You're on a horse you've never ridden before and performing a risky stunt that could have landed you in a hospital if something went wrong. I was impressed, Kenna. His tone softened and scared for you. She would have responded except her throat had gone dry. Swallowing, she started over. I might not have tried the hippodrome with someone else at the other end of the lunge line. You made me feel safe, Channing. I'm glad it was me, too. Okay, we're going to start on page 303, where he's asking, how's your mom? His serious expression gave Ken a pause. The phone call with Bo must not have gone well. She wants to be alone and sent me away. I'm sorry. She does that when she's upset, isolates herself. I guess it's her process. She stayed in her room for 5 days after my dad died and didn't come out until after the funeral. My aunt handled all the arrangements. God, Kenna had always hated that word, arrangements. That must have been hard for you. Her eyes misted at the memory. Tonight's events were hitting her harder than she thought. I was never so miserable in my entire life, even when Mom came out of her room. She kept me at a distance. We weren't ever close again. Leaving home was almost a relief. Wow, tough. First you lose your dad, then your mom, and then your home. Water under the bridge. Kenna focused a dry chuckle past the lump. Is it? The kind of stuff that can stay with a person? I got over it. I survived. Didn't have a choice. Mom's the same with every breakup. Keeps her feelings bottled up until she's ready to go on the hunt again for the next man. It's why I leave. She has no use for me, and not when she's with a man or when they break up. Not sure I understand, Channing said. You leave because she has no use for you or because she pushes you away? Take your pick. They're basically the same thing. They're not. Pushing people away is needing space to cope with grief or to solve a problem. No one or no use for them is rejection. Ow, she hated that word too. Pain pinched her heart. This discussion was touching on sensitive areas, and Kenna preferred to leave them be. She changed the subject. I hate to say it, but I'm not altogether surprised at what happened at dinner. Mom and Bo have been destined for trouble from the start. They have challenges, and I wouldn't say they were destined for trouble. Really? Kenna was genuinely surprised at his remark. Not even after what happened tonight? They had an argument. That was helped along by others. His mom, Kenna gave her a head of a dismal shake. I agree, she was way out of line. And you? Me? You kind of butted in where you didn't belong, he said. That riled her. I defended Mom. You would do the same if you were in my position. Anyone would. Channing took a moment as if he was weighing his next words. She didn't like that either. You mentioned that Lorelei was in town. I didn't mention her. We were discussing her. Bo and his mom were discussing her. You weren't part of the conversation. I made a suggestion. Frankly, it was a good one. Again, he took a moment before speaking. You told her you had every intention of staying out of your mom and Bo's relationship. Then you didn't. From an outside perspective, it almost seemed like you were stirring the pot. Kenna's mouth dropped open. I absolutely was not. Maybe it was unconscious. I was attempting to help. There was no stirring the pot, conscious or unconscious. There had been, right? She had tried to recall her frame of mind at the moment. Her only thoughts had been of her mother, her first smoothing over the tension and then defending her. Was you repeating the remark about Bo's mom faking a heart attack also attempting to help? Channing asked. Bo's mom did say that, and she accused my mom of being hysterical. That might not have been the best time or place to bring up a heart attack remark. You made a bad situation worse. Guilt stabbed at Kenna, and she deflected by asking, Does this have anything to do with your phone call with Bo? Is he mad at me? He's upset and trying to understand what happened. You've been against the wedding from the start. I changed my mind about him lately. All right. But what if you were trying to protect your mom from what you perceived as a potential heartache by hurrying the breakup? You've said many times that her relationship doesn't last. She almost gasped before composing herself. All right. I admit maybe I spoke once or twice tonight when I should have kept my mouth shut, but I wasn't hurrying a breakup, and I sure didn't cause the problems between Mom and Bo. He did lie to her by not telling her about Lorelei's visit. That's on him. True, and he regrets it. Kenna shoved a hand through her hair. Why are we even arguing about Mom and Bo anyway? He's your friend and all, but this is their problem to resolve. We're not arguing about them, we're arguing about us. She stared at him. I'm confused. We have a lot of challenges facing us too, he said. Are you going to hurry a breakup if we hit a rough patch? What? No, where's this coming from? You have a fear of commitment that seems to stem from a fear of rejections or even fear of abandonment. Your mom's repeatedly, your dad's. You admitted that as much. My dad died. It's another form of abandonment. She realized that long ago she just hated admitting it. Whenever trouble arises, you leave before you push away or rejected. You've been doing it for years. I also think sometimes you attempt to end things before they get bad. With your mom, for example, for your old boyfriend, why put off the inevitable, right? She drew back to stare at him. Thank you, Dr. Pierce. Kenna, he softened his tone, I'm concerned. You and I are about to jump headfirst into a long-distance relationship. I'm trying to get an understanding of what I'm possibly in for. In for? Invisible fingers pinched her heart. Maybe that wasn't the right way to phrase it. You make it sound like I will be alone and I'll be the only one responsible for any problems we might face or any breakup. That's not fair. I'm on the road for work a lot, but that's not running. I have contractual obligations, as do I, Channing countered, and financial ones, which is why I have to stay and can't leave to join you. You can't miss one weekend, can you? I'm arranging for Piper to cover for me. That's an option I don't have, he said, not with Dad retiring. His health won't allow him to run the rodeo for 2 or 3 days. The stress would be too much. There's no one else who can do it. Kenna knew his dad's health was a genuine concern, but that didn't stop her from saying something she knew was petty. So I should have to be the one to make all the sacrifices if we were to succeed? What happened to two people compromising? Of course, you shouldn't be the only one. Well, from an outside perspective, she echoed, it sure looks that way. I have every intention of joining you when I can. Which is when? He was visibly tensed. I don't know exactly. It depends on how long an adjustment period we have with Dad's retirement. She didn't quite buy his answer. A part of it rang true, while another part rang of convenient excuses. She should know that she was practically an expert in those. Can I ask you a question? Why haven't you ever had a serious relationship? And don't say you've been waiting for me. I suppose I haven't met the right person. She put him on the defensive. The slight tightness around her mouth gave him away. Talking to Madison lately, I've only realized that I chose a job that keeps me on the road in order to avoid commitment. I'm wondering if you picked me for the same reason. I'm not commitment phobic. No, I'd say you're more commitment leery. Work comes first for you. It always has, even when you were competing professionally on the rodeo circuit. Getting serious with a woman in a distraction you don't want or need. Girlfriends are also time-consuming. And demanding, and they have an annoying habit of interfering with plans. And then here I come along, someone who's only around once every couple of months. You get the best of both worlds. A part-time girlfriend who won't compete too much with your job. Better still, she makes the trip to see you, not the other way around. She could see him mentally chewing on her short speech. Had this gone too far? The invisible fingers pinching her heart squeezed harder. This evening, this conversation wasn't going like she'd hoped. This complete opposite. In fact, she was more than a little worried about the outcome. I'd like to tell you you're wrong, he said finally, except I'm not so sure you are. Kenna had been afraid that he would agree with her. I care about you, he continued. That's 100% real. Does your demanding schedule make my life a little easier? Yeah, it does. She closed her eyes. And while the wave of hurt passed over her, she wanted him to insist that she was wrong and promised to come meet her on the road as soon as possible. We're both career-focused individuals, Channing said. I agree with a lot of issues we both need to work out, yes. I guess we'll have to ask, is this the best time for a relationship? The dreaded question Kennan would have given anything not to hear. Are you calling it quits? She managed to say around the giant lump in her throat, already? I don't want to hurt you. Now who's running away? She bit out, or hurrying the breakup. I get that you would see it that way. What other way is there to see it? Maybe all we need to do is take a step back. A step back? She peered at him, trying to read his inscrutable expression. I told you I don't do casual hookups. I was talking casual dating. What's the difference? Our feelings for each other is the difference. The potential for more later on. Forgive me for being confused. A few days ago, you were all gung-ho. Suddenly you don't like the way I handled myself during Mom and Beau's argument, and now we're taking a step back. I did rush us. You aren't here much, and I have very limited time. No, I don't agree. I think the real reason I hit the nail on the head is you aren't willing to compromise. The more serious we become, the more pressure from the arena, and you're having doubts about yourself, not me. I have a lot of responsibility. And I don't? You have a history of leaving Kenna, and I don't have as much confidence in us as I'd like to. Oh, to be able to disagree with him, she couldn't, however. Leaving was a response mechanism. Even now, she was clawing to go inside and put some distance between them. Dear God, she was just like her mom. How had she not realized that before? The only difference was that her mom shut herself in her room and Kenna hit the road. No wonder Channing had suddenly pulled back tonight. He probably thought that he'd seen a vision of what was to come in the future with her. I'll be honest, it bothered me when we were talking about your mom earlier and you were easily dismissed what you went through. Then, when you said that she and Beau were destined for trouble, I started to wonder what kind of chance we had. She couldn't blame him. Why had she ever thought herself capable of becoming involved with a guy? Maybe I am a little too damaged right now. The admission caused a rush of pain, followed by her defensive rising. We were wrong to start anything in the first place, and we should have followed our instincts. He was supposed to say that they weren't wrong, and assure her that they would be perfect for each other, save a tweak here and there, and he didn't. Maybe the timing's just not right. 6 months could make a difference. We'll both be under less pressure then. He was attempting to leave the door open. Was that what she wanted? What do we want to do in the meantime? Remain friends? Hopefully. Well, it's not like we'll see each other much. With Mom calling off the wedding and us not dating, there's not a lot of reasons for me to be at the arena. She was assuming further discussions of being a halftime entertainment event were at the end, so also with future classes. Actually, I'll be by in the morning to get Zenith and Rocket Man. Thanks for boarding them. The morning? The sooner I leave, the better for both of us. Staying on will only make it harder. I'm not one for long goodbyes, as well as you know. Yes, she was proposing to do the very thing he accused her of the moment ago, running away. Can we meet up again before you go? What's the point? Now who's hurrying the breakup? Kenna, I didn't mean to. This isn't... His sorrowful expression was too much for her. Jumping up, she started for the door. Night, Channing. See you later. She escaped inside before he could respond. Through the living room sheer curtains, she watched Channing's truck's lights reverse out of the driveway, turn in despair. She had an irrational impulse to call him and tell him to come back, that they could work things out, but she didn't. Rather than wake her mom or Madison and Kenna, she went to the kitchen and sat at the table, covering her mouth with a paper napkin. She let herself cry. She was her mom's child after all, and if she couldn't leave, then sitting alone in the dark was the next best thing. She'd been right when she said what she did about Channing, hadn't she? He wasn't willing to compromise or put someone he cared about ahead of work. Or had she been lashing out at him because of the harsh but true remarks he made about her? What if she, and not he, had brought about their breakup? Tossing down the soaked napkin, she grabbed a fresh one. Some time later, Kenna sat bolt straight up in the chair, suddenly remembering the woman's bull riding tomorrow night. She told Channing that she'd be leaving in the morning. What about her riding Sideways Sam at the halftime entertainment that evening? Should she offer to have Madison replace her, bite the bullet, and stay? Completely drained and cleaved in two, Kenna couldn't decide. She dragged herself down the hall toward the guest bedroom. She'd talk to Madison in the morning. Together they would figure out what to do. In any case, early in the day or later, Kenna was leaving tomorrow. Did Kenna leave? Did Kenna come back? Did they work things out? What happened between her mom and Beau? Did they work things out? Did they have the wedding? Only way to find out is to read this amazing book, which gets a 10 on my Richter scale. You know, if I give it a 10, it's a must-read. So be sure to read How to Marry a Cowboy. It's a great book. And romance exists in books and movies. Rarely does it ever exist in real life. God bless y'all. Thank you for tuning in. Stay safe, stay well. We'll meet again, hopefully.